All right, so the questions are factor the common factor out of each expression. Here it says that factor out the common factor, but even when you have factoring, you don't need to wait for them to tell you factor the common factor. You have to see if there's something in common factor it out. So let's get some problems here. For example, we're going to start with the easiest one. 4 minus 2n. You're going to say, what is common between 4 and 2n that you can factor out? In this case, you see it's 2 is in common, so we're going to factor out 2. And then you're going to open parentheses. When you open parentheses, it's like opposite of distribution. It's division. You're going to divide each one of those terms into 2. And you're going to write them inside parentheses. Say 4 divided by 2 is what? Is 2. 2n divided by 2 is what? It's going to be 1n. But there's negative sign. Negative divided by, this is positive. It's going to be minus just n. Second one, like you have 8, ugly 8, n to the 5th power minus 4n to the 4th power. Again, we're going to look and see if what's in common between 8n to the 5th power and 4n to the 4th power. In this case, between the numbers, it's 4 and between 4 and 8, 4 is a common factor, and then it's greatest common factor. When elementary students do that, they go with greatest common factor. And then between n to the 5th and n to the 4th, if the bases are same, pick the power with the smallest power, which is n to the 4th. So 4n to the power of 4 is common factor between these two, for this binomial. So open parentheses, and you're going to divide each one of those into 4n to the 4th. 8n to the 5th divided by 4n to the 4th. I'll go one by one. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then n to the 5th divided by n to the 4th when it's division. So let's review. N to the 4th divided by n to the 4th. If the bases are same, write one of the bases and subtract the powers because of division. So it's n to the 1st power, which is same as n. And then 4n to the 4th divided by 4n to the 4th is just 1, but there's negative, it's going to be negative 1. So we're done with this one. Now another one, which is now, in this case, that was the basically hardest it could get with the binomials. Now let's do a trinomial, which we have, for example, 5, not this color, let's go black. 5 p to the 6th plus 20 p to the 4th minus 50 p to the 3rd. So it's a trinomial. We want to find the greatest common factor between those numbers and variables. So between 5 and 20 and 50, it's 5, right? Clearly. And 5 is the highest it can get for the first term. So it's 5. And between this one, p to the 6th, p to the 4th, and p to the 3rd, the rule is if they're common bases, go with the smallest power, which is p to the 3rd. So 5p to the 3rd. So open parentheses, you divide every one of those terms of the trinomial into this factor that we have. 5p to the 6th divided by 5p to the 3rd, 5 divided by 5 is 1, p to the 6th divided by p to the 3rd is division. You subtract the power. So it's going to be what? P to the 3rd. And then 20 divided by the next one, 20 divided by 5 is 4. Positive divided by positive. This positive divided by here, positive is going to be positive. 4. Now, p to the 4th divided by p to the 3rd is going to be p to the, again, subtract the power, p to the 1st power. And then negative 50, this one, divided by this one. Negative 50 divided by 5 is negative 10. And then p to the 3rd divided by p to the 3rd is just 1. So that's going to be times 1, which is not going to have any effect. So I'm not going to write it because 1 times 10 is 10. And we're done with this one also. So that was the hardest. So this was, let's do one more. This is the one that you just find a common factor. But any type of factoring that you have, independent, maybe it's just the difference of squares or any type of factoring, first you need to find a common factor. If it's possible, then you simplify it. Let's go with another problem, which you're going to end up having a quadratic at the end, which is this one. You have, so let's go up. So we have, I need to disable that. It keeps coming back. 6y x to the second power plus 24y to the second power again times x plus 42y. Here, now we want to factor. We want to see between this number 6, 24, and 42, what is common factor? It's easiest one is the smallest number. You see, it's 6 is between all four numbers. All three of them are divisible by 6. So that's 6. And then between y, and then I'll put like this, y squared and y again, what's common factor is just y. Now x squared doesn't have common factor because our last term doesn't have x. X squared x and last one doesn't have x. So we don't have x factor. So open parentheses and then 6y. Now this one divided by this one. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Y divided by y is 1. So what's left? X squared. Now this one divided by this again. 24 divided by 6 is 4, but there's positive here, so it's going to be plus 4. Y squared divided by y, subtract the power. This is the first power, so it's going to be y, and x is left. Positive, now this one, positive divided by positive, positive, 42, that's 42. Divided by 6 is what, 7. So plus 7. Y divided by y is 1, which I don't need to write because 7 times 1 is going to be 7. So we're done with this one.